Hey, everybody, like to do a shout out to our sponsor, Dogs. Yes, Dogs. If you're looking for top security, forget the rest and get the best. Get yourself a dog.
Hi, this is 50/50 Real Estate Podcast for the Common Man, where we talk about selling, buying, and investing in real estate. We aren't baffling you with BS. We're dazzling you with brilliance. We're not telling you how to become a millionaire. We are telling you stories, the truth, and the information no one is talking about. So sit back, listen, laugh, and enjoy 50/50 Real Estate Podcast for the Common Man.
Hey, everybody, JD here. Hope you're looking good, feeling fine. Hope you had a great week with friends, neighbors, relatives, and acquaintances. We're going to be discussing in depth now one of the things that I see in, I would say the past year, since January. It's deception, it's deceit, it's lies, it's just, I guess, the real estate community is just trying to survive because interest rates have raised so dramatically. And it's just, we're going to go over in depth why it's kind of a bad time to sell, but we're going to go into depth why it's a bad time to buy. You know, you hear a lot, don't buy, it's a terrible time to buy, the housing market's going to go down, blah, 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 blah. But they don't go in depth on why it's a bad time to buy a home. So I'm going to go in depth, line by line, on why it's a terrible time to buy. So you're not getting involved into the big lie, what builders and real estate agents are telling you just to make a commission. Now, I list a lot of the homes, and it's kind of semi-retired now, so I'm not hustling like I used to. But when I list homes, I think the biggest mistake that I see on real estate agents is they don't care about the seller or the buyer. They just care about the commission. And there's always a unique few people that really have good ethics. They really care about their clients and so on. But I would say a good 80% are just in it for the buck, and the other 30%, the other 20% are just in it because they really enjoy it. They're not in it for the money. They just really want to help people. So let's look at the 80% that really make it terrible for the real estate industry. As we go into the market right now, interest rates went from about 3% to 7%. That's a huge jump. And it has slowed down a lot of the real estate market now, but a lot of times you don't hear that. A real estate agent or a builder is not going to say, don't buy a home now, or don't sell your home, because they'd be out of a job. They go broke. They be in the unemployment line. So they create these lies, they manipulate, they fake news, they change the data to support what they want you to believe. So here's a good example. Let's say a home at the beginning of the year was listed at $500,000. And that home just didn't sell. So let's say 3 months go by and it just isn't selling. So what the seller decides to do is, let's lower the price $25,000. So they lower the price $25,000, and now they have it listed for $475,000. but the home is still $75,000 overpriced. So what a lot of the market and the real estate agents say is, wow, buyer, this is the best time to buy. The house went down. They just lowered the price 25,000, so you'll be able to save $25,000. And wow, you won't have to bid the price up like everybody was doing the past few years. You won't have bidding wars. This is a great time. So you think, wow, yeah, we tried to buy a home the past couple of years and it's just been a total circus. Yeah, this is, I guess you're right, this should be a good time to buy. So people buy homes and then they, within a short time, like whether they say 80% of the people that bought homes the past 3 years regret buying them and they say that they were forced into purchasing a home. I don't think that's true. I don't think people force you into purchasing a home. They don't put a gun in your hand and say sign the contract. I just think it was the fear of loss. Well, if we don't buy a home, we're going to be renting for the next 10, 15 years. So they use that. They're like, oh, if you rent, you're throwing your money away. You better buy now. Interest rates are the lowest they've ever been. Blah, 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 blah. And people bought it. Well, what's happening now is almost the same thing. Wow, interest rates went high, but they lowered that price $25,000, $30,000, and so now you're not paying what people paid last year for. You're paying 20 or 30, $40,000 less. Well, like I said, the house is still $75,000 overpriced. And when I go out and list homes, I really look at the seller. A lot of people, they just list a home. They don't care what happens to that seller. They move on. And what happens if that seller can't qualify for another home? Maybe they had a bankruptcy, a loss of job, bad credit, a divorce, something like that. And they sell their home and then they can't qualify for another home and now they're left out in the streets. This happens a lot. So I was taught when I began real estate from one of the best brokers I've ever had in my life, that before you put a home on the market, get the sellers into a lender. Make sure financially they can purchase another home, because if they can't, then you don't sell their home. If they can, now great, we can sell their home and move up. But a lot of people don't. They just sell their home and they don't care what happens to the buyer. Even when the buyer says, I'm moving out of state, and the listing agent says, well, great, I'm not going to make another commission if I sell this home. They're moving out of state, so I'm not going to make a commission when they go out and buy another home, so I don't care. What happens if they move to another state and then they can't qualify? Now they're stuck. They're renting. They feel betrayed, and so on and so forth. So I always say to people, if you're listening to this, we're going to cover a lot about the buy, but if you're a seller, before you list your home, get not pre-approved. That's worthless. I mean, anybody could call a lender and say, hey, look, and I make $1 million a year, I have $1 million in the bank, and I'm debt free, and I sell pizzas for a living, and I do really, really well. And they go, oh, great, okay. And they, run up a credit report, and they go, wow, you have 750 FICO scores, you're really great. They don't know your income or debt or everything else has happened. So they say, yeah, you can qualify for $1 million home. And then you go out and you find you can't qualify for a home any more than what you have, and now you're stuck. And that's where a lot of times when I list a home, and realtors, if you're out there, go through a settlement sheet. Show the seller, We're going to list your home here. Here's the buy cost. Here's the title insurance. Here's the taxes you have to pay. Here's the insurance. Here's the real estate costs. And here's what you're going to walk out with once everything is done and said. But a lot of times people go, wow, that's great. Oh, man, I'm making $300,000 profit. Whoa, let's list a home. But then they want to move up into a bigger home, and they're going to put that money down, or they think, wow, I'm going to pay off a few of my cars and put the rest down. And then they realize when they go to a mortgage company, they can't qualify for any more than the home that they just sold. So that's kind of what's happening and why you don't get a lot of inventory now. It's not that people don't want to sell their home, is that the housing prices went up so fast, so quick, that they can't afford any more of a home that they have. And if they refinanced, they aren't going to give away a 3% loan and go to 7%, because that just lowers their buying power. So what I'm saying is, if they like refinanced at 600,000, I'm just using numbers here, and at 3%, and now they want to buy a home and they refinance at 6%. Now interest rates went up. They might go, wow, we can't qualify. We qualified for 600,000. Now the interest rates are up. We can't qualify for more than 400,000 now. So they're stuck, and that's why I always say, if you're selling a home, don't listen to your real estate agent. Please don't. Unless the real estate agent says, before we list your home, let's get you with a lender. Don't get pre-approved. Like I said, it's worthless, because you can say, hey, I make $1 million and I own a pizza place and make millions of dollars, and they say, great, you can afford $1 million home, go out and find one. You want to get formally approved. You want them to see your taxes, your W-4s and W-2s and everything, and send that into an underwriter. And then when the underwriter says, yeah, all they need to do is find a house, and we'll go with an appraisal and inspection and so on, then list their home. Because then unless something dramatic happens, like they lose their job 2 days before you close, then you feel good about, I'm selling their home, they're moving into another home, everything is great. But that's kind of not what's happening now, is just selling homes, and they don't really care what's going on. And then, I think this fall, you're going to see a dramatic decrease in prices, because sellers are, they get like, wow, spring and summer, that's the hottest market, and people buying this market, and wow, great. And now after 3 months, nobody's bought their home, and they're going in the winter, and they're like, we got to be out of here. And now you're going to see dramatic price drops going into the fall and in the winter, I think. Nobody really knows, and so on. But I'm going to cover a little bit on what the lies and how it is just, you're going to see a lot of foreclosures coming up of people who bought in the past 3 years. It's because they were persuaded into purchasing a home overpriced. They couldn't afford it, and they, like I said, after after 3 years, a lot of people who bought homes, they're regretting it. They're buried in it. They're upside down, because if you bought a home for $500 and now it's only, everybody's selling it for $450, you got $50,000 negative equity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just show you, when I'm telling buyers who are coming to me, don't rent for a year, rent for 2 years. And the first thing they're in shock, because they say, what do you mean rent? Nobody's told us this. You don't make money on renting. You don't make money on renting. You just throw your money away. Why should we rent? And, as a real estate agent, so many real estate agents will use this to make buyers look really stupid. Like, well, if you rent, you're an idiot. Why would you be renting when you could be buying? and they say, oh, well, everybody has said this is like the best time to buy because we're losing equity. Look at all the equity that we've lost. If we would have bought a home 2 years ago, the home prices would have went up and we would have had $200,000 worth of equity. No, not really. And that's where the deceit and the lies are. Because if you had to replace your home, you're just paying $200,000 more to replace the home you have. So where's the equity? Unless you move out of state into a cheaper area, then it might benefit you. But a lot of people don't do that unless you get transferred, or if they're in the military, they move out of state because they're transferred somewhere else. But if you're just a typical person, they use this. Oh, if you would have bought 2 years ago, you would have made $200,000. No, you would have just to replace the house. It just cost you $200,000 more. So where's the equity? I mean, it's such a lie, and I've seen it so much in real estate and so on and so forth. So, like I said, if you're a home seller, just wait it out. And if you're a renter, let's go on the renting. Another big lie. People think if you buy a home, every payment you pay on your home, wow, that just comes off your mortgage. No, that's another huge lie. For the first about 10 years of a 30-year mortgage, all you're doing is paying interest. You're not buying the mortgage down. You're not lowering your mortgage. You're just paying on interest. So if you are out renting a property, you don't have property taxes, maintenance, the water heater blows up, furnace, I gotta paint the house, fix the screens, fix the sprinklers, the water faucet's leaking. That's all on the landlord. But when you own a home, you have to pay all that, plus you're paying interest for 10 years. So in 10 years, you probably owe just as much as you paid for it 10 years ago. So if you rented, in 10 years, you would have paid all that, rent. But the mortgage you would have paid in 10 years, you would have paid. And like I said, the principal on your loan would pretty much be the same of what you had 10 years ago. So this thing about, renting, you're losing money, you're pretty much just paying the interest on a loan for 10 years too. You're just giving all the money to the bank. And banks love that. That's this con. Banks make tons of money lending money. So they're not going to tell you should rent. They're saying you should buy. Because they don't make money when you rent. They make money when you get loans. So the banks are, telling people these big, huge lies. So like I said, it's just deceiving. It's just unethical. And like I said, when you're selling your home, make sure that you know exactly what you qualify when you move up, and that is it even worth moving up? Or like I said, you can be stuck selling your home and then finding out you can't buy any more home than what you sold, and you just wasted everybody's time, and now you have to go look at a replacement home that's probably a lot worse shape than what you sold, and you're paying the same amount than what you sold your home for. So it's totally a waste of time and deception. But real estate agents, the real estate markets, it's a great time to buy and sell. Then, like I said, that's where they make their money. So we're going to show you why it's such a terrible time to buy. And why you're going to see a ton of foreclosures coming up, because real estate agents don't show you this. And you just think, oh well, hey, I'm doing great renting, and I'm making a great income. I'm ready to buy. No, a lot of people when they buy, and that's why 80% of the people the past 3 or 4 years regret buying. So we're going to cover this. Get a pencil and a piece of paper and get some coffee, because if you're selling your home or you're thinking about buying, we're going to go over the deception, the lies, the cheat, this scum that try to convince you to purchase a home. Like I said, I don't know if you've seen the Wizard of Oz, where it's like, I am the big Wizard of Oz, and it's this big huge head that shows up, and then all of a sudden Toto gets the curtain and pulls it, and there's this little guy behind it controlling everything, and he, please disregard the man behind the curtain. That's pretty much what we're going to reveal now. The man behind the curtain we're going to talk about. So hopefully you got your pencil and your piece of paper and your cup of coffee, because here's what we're going to go through. Let's say right now you're selling your home or you're buying a home and you want to purchase a home right now. And we're just going to use like realistic numbers. I mean, we could go higher prices, we can go lower prices, but we're just going to use these numbers. Let's say you want to buy a $450,000 home. And we're not going to put 20%, 30%, 50% down. We're just going to put the minimum FHA requirement down. And I think it's like 3.5%. But we're going to just say 5% down. So you're going to have to come up, if you go 3.25%, 3.5%, you're going to have to come up with $15,500. So that gives you a loan of $434 and like $434,200. Now you got about 2% in closing costs. So now you're going to have to come up with $8,685. So if you get your down payment and you get your closing costs, you're going to have to come up with $22,500 just to get a small down payment FHA. But here's where they kind of hose you, and is because now you have a loan of $434,250, but you have a mortgage insurance premium, a one-time mortgage insurance premium of 1.75. Now you can finance that into the loan. So let's say majority of people, they finance that into the loan, and that's $7,382. So now that gives you a loan of $440,000, okay? But remember, you put $15,000 down on a home, but your MIP and came up and so on. So now you really only have, like, you put $10,000 down. So now you have a $440,000 loan. Now you have a monthly mortgage insurance of 0.50 over the year. So take $440,000 times it by 0.50, divide it over 12, and that now increases your monthly payments $184. Okay, got that? So now let's say your interest rate's about 7%. They go up and go down, but today's market 7%. So your house payment is going to be $2,916. Okay, that's principal and interest. But you've got insurance. So let's say you got $400 a month for insurance. Then you have taxes. So you have another 200 and let's say $50 in taxes a month. Then you got to have utilities, water, sewage, heat and so on, electric. Let's say that's another $300 a month. And then you got maintenance, sprinkler goes out, water heater goes out, leaky pipe, leaky that, and you have to call a plumber unless you're really handy, and they're going to be paying because almost every month you buy a home, something's going to go wrong. A toilet goes over, and need a new toilet plunger, or a leak here, sprinkler breaks off. Window screen rips, you name it, something happens. But we're not going to cover just the month-to-month routine maintenance. We're just going to say your house is maintenance free. Nothing ever breaks down. So now, if you add all that up, you come up with a payment of $3,866 a month. Okay, you heard me right. $3,866 a month. So that is $46,392 a year just to live in a home. Okay, you got that? Now, let's say, wow, you're making a good income, right? You're making a really good income and so on. Let's see, total household income. Realistically, I mean, some people make in the hundreds, thousands, but we're just getting an average family living in an average home with an average job. Maybe a little above average. I'm not saying you're working at McDonald's for $13, $14 an hour, but you have kind of good, decent job. Let's say you make $92,500 a year. Household gross income. Remember, you don't get all that. You have to pay federal income tax. So out of that is $13,000. Then depending on what state you have, because some states you don't have to pay taxes, some states you do. But let's say your state has regular state tax, you have to pay another $4,751. Then you have Social Security tax. So you have to pay probably $5,504. Then you got Medicare. You got $1,334 in Medicare. And then maybe disability. You got $31.20. Then maybe family leave insurance. You got to pay $424 a year. So all together, just in taxes, from $92,500 household income, you have to pay $25,252 in taxes, right? Now, that now leaves you a net income of $66,748. That's after taxes, so everything's paid. But remember, your house payment is $46,392. So now you pay your house payment. That now gives you $20,356 to live on for the whole year. And if you divide that, that gives you $1,996 a month to live on. Remember, if you have kids, car insurance, gas, food, clothing, repairs, vacations, just incidentals that come up, you're broke. You're house poor. You're living paycheck to paycheck just to own a home, and that's on a $92,500 income. And like I said, you get these people who purchase homes, they don't lay all this out, and then they buy a home and they go, why don't we have any money? Why are we broke? Why were we better off when we were renting and had more disposable money, and now we're just stuck in our home? We can't go out, we can't go on vacation, we can't enjoy our life. We're just stuck in our house here. And boy, why aren't we, really happy living in a home? Because you're house poor. And like I said, a lot of people don't say this, and they don't lay it out for you. If you're selling or buying a home, realtors and real estate agents, they just want to sell your home. They want you to just buy a home so they can make their money so that they can live. So the whole thing nowadays of, the market's getting a little better, the prices are going down a little bit more, you better buy, because if interest rates go down, there's going to be a flood of people, and the houses are just going to go back up, and boy, you're not going to be able to afford it. Like I said, forget what people are telling you. When you're ready to buy, you buy. It's just like a marriage. You could be 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. You could be single with no kids. But if you don't think it's right for you to get married, don't get married. If you don't think it's right for you to not have kids, don't have kids. When it's your time to get married or your time to have kids and you feel it's right, then it's the right time. No matter what people are telling you, like, hey, whoa, when are you guys going to get married? Or, wow, when are you going to have kids? Or, wow, when are you going to be buying a house? Everybody else is buying a house. Why are you just renting? It's a big guilt trip, and, don't fall for it. So, like I said, hopefully I laid this out about the big lie, the deceit, the unethical behavior that's happening in real estate now, because of the fact that people just don't want to buy a house, and they get kind of like ridiculed, like, you don't want to buy a house now? Boy, everybody else, is a good time to buy. And they just kind of pretty much, say this, and mostly it's coming from the real estate industry. So, folks, if you're thinking about selling your home, if you're thinking about buying a home, or if you're a real estate agent in the real estate industry, and you earn your living, come on, guys, get real, be honest. If you can't make it in real estate, get a second job and still become a real estate agent. But, there's a lot of jobs out there that you can live on, and you don't have to mislead people just to get a commission check. So, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. And like I said, nobody's really mentioning this. They say that, the housing market's going down. It's, we're going to have a lot of foreclosures, blah, blah, blah. But they don't really lay it out like the way I laid about why you shouldn't be buying a house, or why you shouldn't be selling your home, and so on. And I think once we get into the fall and winter, you're going to see the housing drop. And I've just seen it, like I said, in the past year, drop sometimes, $50,000, $75,000 just since January. But they're still overpriced. And like I said, people are buying homes, but they're just getting misled by these real estate people and what they hear in the media. And I'll tell you, they're going to be just one of the 80% that regret it in the next 5 to 7, 8 months, when they see their house depreciate another $100,000 by the end of next year. And then they say, wow, what were we thinking? And then they stop blaming. Everybody's a victim. Oh, we got lied to. Everybody told us, it was a great time to buy. Our real estate agent said it was great buy time. We all got lied to, blah, blah, blah. No, you guys did it on your own. You don't want to look like, you just made a bad mistake. So So you blame it on everybody else except you. And like I said, I'm just trying to prevent you guys out there from making a bad mistake selling or buying a home. So thank you very much for listening to me. I really, really appreciate it. Think about what I had to say. Share this with friends, neighbors, relatives, and acquaintances. And hopefully I will talk to you in the future. Bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed the show, Real Estate for the Common Man. Please follow us or subscribe. Tell your friends, neighbors, relatives, and coworkers about us. We're on all your major podcast apps: Amazon, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. If you can't remember all that, just Google it or have your friends Google Real Estate for the Common Man and it will come up. Again, we thank you very much for your time and hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hey, if you live in Colorado Springs and want to buy or sell a home, you can look us up at soldrealestatecompany.com as in I sold a home. Again, thank you very much. Have a very good week and we'll see you next Monday. Bye for now.